What is going on in the black community and in every community? I promise you, because we're all Africans, and like it or not, you're all going to learn the hard way that I'm right. It is like there are three stooges. One of them is a genius who sinks to the other two's level. One represents me, the ancient version of me before, we learn from history, right? He's right. He's consistent with ancient African culture. You could look at it as Ham, Shem, and Japheth, right? The three stooges. One thinks that they are consistent with African culture, okay? They don't truly understand, but they are very close. That is Ham. Then you have Shem, okay? Now, I'm not saying the Jews, the true Jews, the true people who keep the covenant represent Shem, okay? Not necessarily the Jews or people like me who are slightly Jewish, with their blood, okay? But the actual people who are with God, okay? So Ham, Shem, Japheth, three stooges. One of them is a very, bitter kind of communist. He's with black people no matter what, right or wrong. He refuses to accept God, and he might be a communist. He might be a pagan. He might be a gangster. He might be a Mason, okay? And he's with the whatever culture, whatever perspective they accept. Shem represents he's with God, and Japheth represents Eastern, Eurasian philosophies, other philosophies, okay? And if you look at Native Americans, they're kind of Eurasian, they're kind of Asian-looking islanders, kind of same thing, okay? This is how the people who wrote the Bible saw it as well. Now, they sink down to the level of beating each other up, and eventually the two team up on the one. Why? Because they can't beat his argument, and they're trying to benefit for themselves and the people within their philosophies, their races, their families, their political groups. The three fucking stooges, okay? But now, one of them is a top martial artist, after years of Egyptian organized martial arts systems, Igbo systems, and so on. And the other two are bitches who are teaming up on him. So the picture represents, those philosophies, those materialistic Eurasian philosophies. No offense to those people, but this is from a biblical Christian African perspective, and I'm consistent. I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm not going to try to make you look good, but I will be polite in this video. One is a more African, Afrocentric, with blinded by the love for God, and one is consistent with God, and that is my one. I promise you. Thank you. I come from a long line of people who sit around, make judgment calls, and talk wisdom. That is why Rastas do it. We're looking for nature. We've lost our true African identity, and I'm helping them piece it together using my DNA and my divine connection to God as an African prince. All cockiness aside, that is honestly what I believe. This is also what I believe. They're a bunch of Bill Gates looking people, a bunch of Carlo Gambino looking guys before they had organized crime and Western culture and technology helping them out. Were scared of the Pharaoh who had proved his point. The Lord had hardened Pharaoh's heart. Read John 1 and John 13 thoroughly. The word is God, no servant is greater than his master. The Lord had hardened Pharaoh's heart. He said, I am God's representative, and the Spirit of God comes into me. While all you people were talking shit, your descent, all your ancestors were talking shit saying he's wrong. Some of them at least, right? And later on, what happens? Their descendants see that he was right. The Lord did come into him, and the Lord did make him act the way he was acting. He was a Pharaoh, and that was his part in the divine order and then in the divine battle. That was his role. Any questions? So when some Bill Gates-like motherfuckers go to Compton, right? And God says, look, I'm going to let these sniveling rats, escape, with a few good people. Because you are not in accord anymore. You let the foreign period corrupt the wisdom of Africa. So whether you're a Jew being punished or a Pharaoh, you do not uphold sacred morality, you do not adhere to the ancient paradigm, you will be punished. Those who share my philosophy and my moral values, my spiritual values, are my sheep. Regardless of race or creed or temporary sexual orientation. Those who are destined to turn to God before they die are mine. And let me tell you something, Rothschild. Let me tell you something, Rockefeller, Kissinger. Those are mine. My people. Jesus is the great shepherd, and those are my people. And my kingdom is their state of mind. How dare you drug my sheep? You serpents! You think Bill Gates and his buddies could have went into Compton and took our shit without God? When we had chariots, they had to have God and they had to split the Red fucking Sea. Any questions?